So one of my earliest memories is when I was 7 years old and I used to sell drugs with my dad. We lived in this little small apartment. There was constant break-ins from people that knew that, he had money from selling drugs. And I used to think that all kids sold drugs. It was just like the fish doesn't know that it's in the water. When I was 7, the doctor told my dad if he wanted to see his youngest son, Jorgito, grow up, he needed to stop drinking. He was pretty much an alcoholic his entire life. And so he did stop drinking, but the damage was too much and too far. So when I was 12, he passed away from alcohol. And then my mom abandoned me when I was 13. So from 12 to 16, I started living with my mom's friend, Estela. At 16, she said, "Hey, I've taken care of you enough. Now you got to look after yourself." One of my biggest drivers is that when my dad passed away, I felt like I was in a state of survival. Like I need to provide for myself. Like I need to survive. I need to figure out how to take care of myself because no one is going to take care of me. So while at community college, I joined the salsa team, and my salsa partner introduced me to bachata. She showed me a little basic step, 1, 2, 3, tap, 1, 2, 3, tap. And she's like, "Yeah, you got to check out this CD, just came out. It's called Aventura." I just listened to the whole CD all in one day, and I just fell in love with the music. And so I started watching the few YouTube videos that there were in 2007, started practicing every day. 3 months later, I sent a mass text to a bunch of my friends from my BlackBerry phone. And I said, "Hey guys, I'm gonna start teaching bachata at my friend Yaneli's backyard." So it's like a brick wall, and I had my little CD and little stereo, and I started teaching bachata, and it was like for free. One of my friends showed up, and then like 3 people showed up, and then 5 people, and so I started charging $5, then $7. Then I started teaching at a dance studio. Then I met my dance partner, Leslie, and together we started the very first bachata dance company in the US. We started the first bachata dance festival in Los Angeles, and then I started the first bachata nightclub in the US. And for 8 years, I lived and breathed dance, got to travel to over 25 countries, teaching, performing, training other instructors how to teach bachata. And it was just a great chapter of my life. The problem that I saw with the dance business is that I built a business around me, and I felt stuck because the business only generated income when I was trading time for money. Yeah, I was making over 200K. I had a high income, but I had no assets to show for my income. And so I realized that if I stopped making that money, I wouldn't be able to take care of myself or my loved ones. I needed to do something different. And that's when my wife and I started taking personal development courses, real estate investing courses, became a student at the Rich Dad company. So when I got my mentor at Rich Dad, prior to that, I had this idea of paying off my first home, right? I thought that all debt was bad. And so when I started working with her, she helped me realize that the way to create financial freedom was to actually tap into the existing equity from that first property I had purchased and then leverage that to go and buy more. And so that's what I did. And so I had long-term tenants in my properties at the beginning, but then I learned that there was a bigger opportunity. One of my dance students introduced me to Airbnb in 2016, and she mentioned she was making 3 times more with Airbnb on each of her units that she was making with long-term tenants. And so when I started doing the math for my properties, it just made so much sense. So when I had the long-term properties, I was making about $6,000 a month with all 4 units, which is about $1,500 each. Once I launched them on Airbnb, they started making more than double. So each one went from $1,500 to about $3,500 a month. So that took me from $6K to $14,000, all in the matter of like 3 months. It was my goal to then be able to retire my wife from her 9 to 5, and that's when we launched those 7 subleases, added an additional 6 figures. So now we're making over 200K in passive income without literally ever visiting these properties in person because we automated all the operations in the business. And I was able to really work on the business and not in the business. In 2017, we became financially free. And in 2018, we became millionaires by net worth, right? So if we sold everything we owned, all of our assets, we would have over $1 million cash. So I get home one day after kind of looking at all of our assets and bank accounts, and I'm like, holy moly, we're millionaires. This is crazy, right? And so I get home and I tell my wife, I was like, hey babe, like we're millionaires. It's like, let's go eat, let's go celebrate to our favorite restaurant. I was on this high. I was so excited, so happy, joyful, jumping up and down that we're millionaires at 30. And then 3 days later, I just felt empty. I just felt like, why don't I feel like $1 million anymore? There was like this sense of like emptiness and a lack of meaning. It just felt like this calling, like go and help other people. Share what you've learned in all these years. And really that's what keeps me feeling like $1 million every day, is seeing my students become financially free, quitting their job or going from full-time to part-time, being able to spend more time with their kids, their family, seeing them travel the world. That's how the real system was born. You know, growing up, I always felt like entrepreneurship wasn't an option in school. And so now my goal and my vision for the world is to make that an option. And it really starts at home, because we can teach this to our kids. My mother, who wasn't able to provide a home for me, like I was able to provide a home for her. And I got her a home in the area that she wanted, next to family. And she never has to worry about a mortgage payment. You know, it's all taken care of. I retired my wife. And now essentially we're stay-at-home parents. We travel like every 2 months now to a different part of the world. And I've helped over 2,000 people begin this journey of, you know, starting their Airbnb business so they too can create financial freedom. And, you know, I really want people to understand that entrepreneurship, like it's an option. And I want to show people a proper way that they can, you know, start a business that can work even when they are not, so they can create that time freedom for them and their families. So Tony Gaskins once said, if you don't build your dream, someone's going to hire you to build theirs. And I believe that most people today, out of wanting to find safety and security, are really building someone else's dream, building someone else's last name, and it was never theirs because they can't pass it on to their loved ones. And so I believe that building a business and having the right system and team in place, so that way it's a passive income, right? It's something that one day they could pass on to their family as part of their legacy. And I want that for you, and I want that for others.